So I finally sat down to watch We Bury the Dead, and honestly, it's fine. It's the movie you watch on a Friday night when you've already scrolled through Netflix for 40 minutes and realized you're too tired to commit to anything life-changing. Zak Hilditch, who usually likes to make us all feel terrible with his post-apocalyptic Australian vibes, is back at it again. This time, he's got Daisy Ridley carrying the weight of the world and a lot of literal dirt on her shoulders. The setup is actually pretty cool, even if the payoff doesn't always stick the landing. We've got Ava searching for her husband in the aftermath of a military experiment gone wrong in Tasmania. The government, in its infinite wisdom, is telling everyone that the dead are rising, but they're slow and harmless. They basically describe them as elderly tortoises with a skin condition. Ava, being a grieving wife, wants to believe it, but because this is a horror thriller and not a Hallmark movie, the military is obviously lying through their teeth. These things aren't just slow, they're evolving. They're getting faster, meaner, and they have the specific habit of grinding their teeth that it is genuinely one of the most annoying and creepy sounds I've heard in a theater in years. If you have misophonia, consider this your official trigger warning. Now, let's talk about Daisy Ridley. She's good. She's really good. But the movie puts so much on her, I felt exhausted just watching her. She's doing the stoic, grieving widow thing for about 90% of the runtime. She gives a very physical performance, appearing as though she has been dragged through a gravel pit. But after an hour of watching her stare intensely at the Tasmanian wilderness, I kind of wanted her to just, I don't know, tell a joke, find a dog. The emotional weight is heavy, and while she carries it well, the script doesn't give her much room to breathe. The pacing is where the movie loses points for me. Hilditch goes for a slow burn approach, which is a polite way of saying the middle of the movie is basically a high-stakes hiking simulator. There is a lot of walking. Ava walks to a house. Ava walks through a field. Ava walks near a fence. The atmosphere is thick and moody, sure, but after the third or fourth long sequence of someone walking through a desaturated forest, I found myself checking my watch. It's a grim road movie, without the road, and sometimes the slow part of the burn feels more like a pilot light that's struggling to stay on. Visually, the movie is undeniably cool in a bleak, everything is dead kind of way. Tasmania looks like a grey, ash-covered version of itself, very Pompeii-chic. I love that they leaned into practical effects instead of just throwing a bunch of blurry CGI at the screen. When you see one of the undead, they look like actual people who have just gone wrong. The makeup is top-notch, and the way they move is jittery and unsettling. But because the movie is so focused on being grounded and realistic, it sometimes lacks that big cinematic wow moment you want from a thriller. It stays in one gear for a long time. There's also a subplot involving a soldier named Riley, played by Mark Cole Smith, that felt a little like it belonged in a different movie. He's great, but his character's vibe is so manipulative and toxic that it almost overshadows the literal monsters outside. It adds some tension, but it also makes the movie feel a bit cluttered. We're dealing with grief, a military conspiracy, evolving zombies, and a sketchy soldier. It's a lot for a movie that spends so much time being quiet. I appreciated that the movie stayed focused on the characters rather than the how of the apocalypse. We don't get a giant exposition dump or a scene where a scientist explains the biology of the virus. It's personal, it's about unfinished business, which is a cool concept for why the dead are coming back. It gives the monsters a bit of a tragic edge. They aren't just hungry, they are stuck. But here's the rub. For a movie about the dead rising and hunting people, it's surprisingly low on actual scares. It's more of a dread fest. If you go in expecting World War Z, you're going to be disappointed. It's a psychological drama wearing a horror movie skin. By the time the third act rolls around and things finally escalate, I felt like I'd been waiting in line for a roller coaster that only had one big drop at the very end. It's a good drop, but was it worth the hour of standing in the Tasmanian sun? I'm not 100% sure. So, is We Buried the Dead worthy? Yeah, it's worthy, but with some caveats. It's a worth a stream kind of movie rather than a you have to see this in theaters right now event. If you're a fan of Daisy Ridley and want to see a proof she's got serious dramatic chops outside of a cockpit, you'll dig it. If you like Zak Hilditch's previous stuff and enjoy feeling a bit depressed while you eat your popcorn, this is right up your alley. But if you're looking for a fast-paced, action-packed zombie flick, this is going to feel like a slog. Despite creating a moody, atmospheric and well-acted survival story, it doesn't really transcend the genre. It's a solid entry into the grief horror subgenre, but it will not redefine it. It's well made, the sound design is killer, and the practical effects are just great. But the pacing issues and the relentless gloom keep it from being a masterpiece. Watch it when you're in the mood for something serious and you don't mind a movie that takes its sweet time getting to the point. Just maybe keep the volume down during the tooth grinding scenes unless you want your own teeth to hurt in sympathy. I hope you enjoyed this review. Feel free to like and subscribe for more CINERS TV.